Hello and welcome to my video essay about the Stanley Parable Deluxe and its absurd elements. What is the Stanley Parable Deluxe? It is a remastered version which was released in 2022 of the 2013 published game simply called The Stanley Parable, which is a walking simulator wherein the player controls a character called Stanley, who is also referred to as Employee 427. It also features the narrator, who is voiced by Kevin Brighting. The game was designed and written by developers Davey Vreeden and William Pugh, and the remastered version was developed by Kraus and has the same game elements as the original Stanley Parable. However, they also added new content, but more on that later. What is the game about? I will let the narrator explain it to you.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor at his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what Employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
So that is the overall premise of the game. The gameplay mechanics are also fairly easy, as you are just walking around using a WSD, and you also are able to sometimes interact with stuff by clicking your left mouse button. And the narrator is giving you things that you can either obey or disobey. So he gives you suggestions of what you could do to find like all the other employees and to figure out why they have gone missing. This is also part of the experimental exposition that we've heard of, as this unreliable narrator that we find in the Stanley Parable is used as a mechanic that is clearly understandable and provides a goal to annoy and disobey said narrator, and thus gives the antagonist a humorous flair. So far, the gameplay that you have seen was Stanley obeying everything that the narrator told him to do. And I will show you now the ending that then happens, and also how the endings are kind of absurd in itself, or at least are kind of meaningless. So this is called the happy ending, or known as the happy ending in like the Stanley Parable community, and it happens when you are always obeying the narrator. This is the ending that you are getting.
Over another human life, for he would dismantle the controls once and for all. Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine. unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
So, as you can see, even though you reached an end, you never really can end the game, because as you've seen at the loading screen, the end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end. And that is what is also like happening in the Stanley Parable. You have a lot of different endings, however none of them actually let Stanley leave this predicament he finds himself in. So he always, it doesn't matter what end he gets, he always finds himself again in his office. Now I would like to talk to you about a different ending, the insanity ending, and I will show you two different versions of that ending that you can get in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe version. In the standard game you were only able to get one of those versions. First, however, I would just quickly want to point out that sometimes if you return to the office of Stanley, the room in front of you changes. Like you can have a really long hallway or a lot of paper on the floor, as you've seen it here. But now let's get to the ending.
Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
So in this ending, Stanley, or at least the narrator describes how Stanley realizes how weird and kind of not normal his situation is. And Stanley starts to become more and more agitated, thinking it is a dream, trying to wake up, also at one point floating, but then he's just really turning insane and starting to scream and running around. And then this ending happens, because technically that's part of the ending, but it's really long. So I just explained to you kind of what went on. But it's really this, you realize this person is trapped in something that they don't want to be trapped in and trying to escape it.
I have a boss, I have an office, I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real, I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself. and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
So this would be the first iteration of that ending. However, there is this element that you can find in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe called the bucket that you get if you go through the new content door that is included in the game. And there you find many different things and also this bucket. And this bucket, if you are carrying it with you, it's a bit like of emotional support for Stanley, and it also changes all the different endings that you could find in the Stanley Parable, the original game. It gets in like a new ending or new voice lines to it, and now I will show you what the voice lines or the ending looks like when you have the bucket.
Bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. "Oh, gracious," he exclaimed. "Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it." Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. "Stanley! Stanley, it's me, the bucket." Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. "Come to me, Stanley. Find me." He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along. It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out. This is the story of a woman named Mariella. Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory why that was absurd or is absurd. But yeah, that's the difference like between the ending with like a bucket and the ending without the bucket. Now I would like to show you another element that you can find in the game that just seems to be incredibly absurd, which is called the baby game. And the baby game is a game wherein you are pressing a button to try and keep a baby alive because it's crawling to fire. The baby isn't a real baby, but the thing is that you would need to actually play the game for 4 hours. Continuously pressing a button, and after 2 hours you would actually probably get, like, I think a dog that would also need a button to be pressed, and then you would need to run around. It's confusing a bit. However, you just need to know that it is time consuming, and you would technically get an ending if you reach the 4-hour mark and you haven't burned the baby or drowned the puppy. However, I couldn't manage that, and I didn't want to spoil that ending for you, so if you would like to try it yourself, please do. And also, the noise is kind of irritating after a while. So yeah, but it's quite absurd, that game in it of itself. The next ending that I would like to show you is called the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility ending. And I don't necessarily think that it's absurd. However, it's something that's only able to be unlocked in the Ultra Deluxe version. And I just feel like it's something that everyone should experience, like, once. And I'm aware that not every one of you will be playing the game. So I would just like to show you this ending.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have... Aha! You've made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. Welcome! You see, back when the Stanley Parable first launched in 2013, getting to the bottom of the mind control facility was a bug that we simply didn't catch during development. And you all sent us lots of photos of it on Twitter and acted very superior about it. And you're all very, very clever. Good for you. Anyway, when it came time to update the game, we knew that we had to do something about this little goof of ours. So here you go. New content. You can call it the bottom of the mind control room ending, if that enhances your perception of the value of these updates. Isn't that what you crave? New content? Always more content, more content, more. And I'm here to give it to you. I'm here to make it seem like we really covered every nook and cranny of the game with secrets and Easter eggs. How about this? We wrote a new piece of music just for this section. You won't hear it anywhere else in the game. It's a secret that's just for you. That's how special you are. We call this track Good Job You've Made It to the Bottom of the Mind Control Facility. Well done.
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it to the bottom of the mind control facility. You jumped on the catwalk. You should have been careful, you should have been careful. It used to be a bug, but now it's an ending, now it's an ending. I believe in you, I believe in your ability to cross this barrier and chase your dreams. But railings don't mean anything. Good job, you did it. 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 Good job, you did it.
So, as I mentioned before, you can now get this bucket that you can carry with you, and you can actually unlock a mini game while playing the Stanley Parable called Is This a Bucket? And let's just say I'm pretty sure it's quite absurd. I would just show you the clip, honestly. I think that explains it the best. So yeah, here you go. Is this a bucket?
Now then, I'm going to run you through some test scenarios, and you'll tell me whether or not the thing I'm showing you is a bucket. Simple enough, right? This should tell us everything we'll ever need to know about what is or is not a bucket. Okay, let's begin. Item 1. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a hologram of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 2. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. It is a 3D printed recreation of a bucket, not an actual bucket. Item 3. Is this a bucket? Incorrect. This is a bucket. Item 4. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a tractor and not a bucket. To be honest, I just sort of put this one in here as a gimme, but I was starting to get concerned that even this might be too much for you. Thank you for not making me look like an idiot. Okay, next one. Is this a bucket? Correct. This is a bucket. Item 6. Is this a bucket? Trick question. Both. Gotcha. Item... Wait, hold on. I can't find the next one. Let me see. It should be around here somewhere. Yes, thank you. There's nothing here. Of course it isn't a bucket. We both know full well that nothing isn't a bucket. Wait, when I say nothing isn't a bucket, that makes it sound like I'm saying everything is a bucket, which of course is not true. Unless, is that what you think? Answer me straight, Stanley. Are you trying to tell me that you believe everything is a bucket? You know what? I'm too confused to even sort it out. I've lost all sense of perspective. What is a bucket? What isn't a bucket? Mere moments ago I could answer these questions with confidence, and yet now I'm somewhat adrift. Do any of us know what a bucket is? Am I a bucket? Stanley, I can't keep doing this. I'm losing myself, and myself was all I ever had to begin with. I'm afraid the bucket is threatening to tear our relationship apart. I can't have that. I'm sorry. But I'm going to erase all buckets from the game entirely. Okay, here we go. What happened? Is everything gone? Why did everything disappear? Wait, was everything a bucket? Every single thing in the game was a bucket. Oh my God, I had no idea. How could... Except me. I'm not a bucket after all. And you, Stanley, you're still here. You're not a bucket either. Oh, this is wonderful news. We're not buckets. Yes, I actually feel much more at ease right now. It's delightful to get some clarity on that issue, but it doesn't change the fact that we haven't got a game. So, tell you what, I'll reset everything and we'll put back all of the buckets, okay? And we'll know that it's all a bucket. But if you run into anyone else, maybe don't mention that. Who knows what that information might do to a person? All right, here we go.
The achievements. So, even though I technically wouldn't consider them absurd, they are so weird that I need to be talking about a few of them, just so that you get like a feeling of what the achievements are and what you can do in the game. So, the first few are quite interesting. Like, get your first achievement is incredibly easy. Beat the game, also incredibly easy. Test achievement, it takes a bit more time, but all the same. Welcome back, just need to like restart the game. So join the game, play once and then come back. You can't jump is also fairly easy because they are telling you that you can't jump, and when you try to jump, you get the achievement. Then there comes commitment. That is kind of hard because you have to play the Stanley Parable for the entire duration of a Tuesday, so 24 hours. That is actually, well, it's just time consuming, to be honest. it's possible, especially if you try to play the baby game while you are doing the achievement. Then you have 8888, which I will not tell you what the achievement or how you can get it. You can figure that out if you would like to play the game. It's funnier that way. Then also there, click on the 435 times. Then you have also a speedrun and the settings world champion. But I feel like the one that like describes the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe the best is the Super Go Outside achievement, where it says that you shouldn't play the Stanley Parable for 10 years, which is a weird achievement to have. And also the original Stanley Parable had this achievement where you it was just called Go Outside and you shouldn't play the game for 5 years. So that means if I would like to get this achievement and I'm not playing the game anymore, I will get the achievement the earliest in 2033. So yeah, like the achievements some are just really different than most achievements. And I just wanted to mention that before I end this video essay. The Stanley Parable is truly a unique game, and many absurd elements can be found, whether it be weird questions, or questioning whether everything is a bucket, or trying to save a paper cutout of a baby from burning, and just spending 4 hours of your time to maybe get an ending. To also just either trying to obey or disobey a narrator that sometimes just doesn't like you and makes fun of you, or to just actually have a bucket that can bring you a bit of comfort and help you along the way. So yeah, I hope you found this game interesting. I enjoy playing the game a lot, and don't worry, I didn't really spoil it that much. In the original game there are like 15 different endings, and I did not want to actually delve deeper into the different endings because I would love for you all to actually experience the game if you would like to play the game. Yeah, so I hope this video has inspired you to play the game. Let me know if it did, or let me know if you are like, well, no, I can't play that game, that's too weird and too confusing, because I would understand that as well. Thank you for watching my video essay.
Good job, you did it. Good job. 3, 2, 1. Good job, you made it.
End of my video essay. And remember, the end is never the end, 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 is never the end.